Hey everyone, it's Pyro, and I'm back for another guide. This guide is now going to focus on Duck Hunt's endgame and how to play it correctly. Um, the main thing to understand about Duck Hunt's endgame is that you can minimize the amount of risk he takes in order to secure the kill, and that's the main thing you want to focus on. There's a lot of times where Duck Hunts can get a kill relatively easily. It's just that they decide to choose something that's a bit harder to do, or they decide to do something that's a bit dangerous, and they end up paying for it. This is a guide on how to minimize the risks you take in the endgame and how to secure stocks. So the first important one is on some bad DI, you can do down throw into up air. Oop, let me try to get the true confirm. Oop. Oop. Alright, there we go. So that's the first one. This is not a true combo. However, if someone DIs in, or if someone DIs poorly, you can get it to true combo at this percents for a kill. This is an idea that you want to use when you're also using a throw can. So let's say we force our opponent to try and DI in, so that they're trying to avoid the can. However, by influencing their DI by trying to avoid the can, we can manipulate their DI so that we can true combo our down throw into our up air. The next idea that you can use for the end game is if someone's by the ledge, just F-tilt them. And that's about a frame, it's either frame 8 or frame 10, it's a kill move. It's a real simple kill move, just a well-spaced F-tilt, and you can kill with it. Make sure that you try and aim strict horizontally low for the hardest angle. Now, the next idea is, let's say that our opponent unluckily got to the very, very high percent. So they're at 180, and we can't do things like down throw up air on them. Oh, that shouldn't work. And we might be able to F-tilt them, but if our F-tilt gets parried and we get grabbed, we might die in retaliation. What you can do with these percents is spam gunman, or spam can. Now, this may seem like kind of like a noob idea, that you do all this work to get your opponent to this high percents, and all you're going to do is spam projectiles. But this is actually a really, really solid strategy to secure the kills at high percents, just spamming projectiles. The reason why this works so well for Duck Hunt and not other characters like Samus or Snake is that Duck Hunt has not one but 2 projectiles that kill at the very, very high percents. So what you're able to do with 2 projectiles that kill at the very high percents is you're able to just continuously mix up between the 2 of them. Your opponent is constantly having to dodge a projectile storm that is both annoying to deal with and also threatening a kill at any point in time when it lands. With this amount of pressure being put on your opponent at this high percent, this is what lets you get very, very creative with the type of reads and the punishes you can make, because your opponent is constantly trying to avoid both of these projectiles. This is something that a lot of Duck Hunts miss, where they'll get their opponent to this high percent, and they'll be like, okay, summon gunman, run straight at them, or summon can, run straight at them, and they forget that it's your projectiles that should be coming first and not the character. Your opponent is constantly trying to get you at this high percent, because you're usually the one in the lead in this position, and what you're doing with the lead is you're both camping them, but you're also camping them and always threatening the kill on them. That's what makes Duck Hunt so scary at this percent. In this kind of late game, you're both being the one controlling the pace of the match because you're the one that's always threatening the kill, but you're also the one that's taking the least amount of risks. And this is something that a lot of Duck Hunts should focus on when they're playing this kind of endgame. So let's say our opponent gets to 150%. Now, when I'm looking at this percent with Duck Hunt, I'm thinking, stop trying to smash attack, maybe catch someone with an up air, but don't put myself in a risky position with it. I'm thinking, I just want to pelt them with projectiles. Eventually, they're going to kill at this percent, so you can kill from center stage with some bad DI. But the idea here is that once you're already at this percent, stop taking as much risks as possible and just play this very, very campy endgame. It's effective, and it will get you a lot more kills. And even when your projectiles aren't hitting, you're putting so much frustration into your opponent by always having to deal with projectiles that can kill. And don't forget that whenever you have the opportunity to hard punish something, don't just immediately grab as your immediate reaction. Always be aware that yes, your up smashes and your F tilts are still alive. You just have to make sure that your opponent gave you a big enough punish window to punish those. But just this simple idea, just back to this idea that you want to spend this endgame spamming projectiles, and even if it's unfortunate like that where Mario got sent the wrong way, doesn't matter. Just keep pelting them with projectiles. They're very close to killing, so just keep putting your opponent in this bad position where they're the one having to play defensive, and you're also the one that's taking the least amount of risks. That's what I want Duck Hunts to focus on here.